Daily national embarrassment, Marjorie Greene, has decided to blame the East Palestine, Ohio train derailment on lazy Americans who are contributing to the labor shortage. Now, of course, that has absolutely nothing to do with the trail derailment, which I'm going to debunk and give you the details of in just a moment. But before we do, why don't we dive into Greene's insane Twitter thread where she writes, "Our nation's rail system is a very critical part of our supply chain, and the integrity of our railroad tracks and all of its working components and gears must be maintained." Then she pivots to this. With labor shortages, that can also be a difficult task and take longer to accomplish to be safe. She elaborates more on the labor shortage. Not only do we have a shortage of people, we have a shortage of good values.
That's what's causing this, you moron.
Please spare me anything you might have to say about good values, Marjorie Greene. But let me continue reading what she had to say about this. "And hard work is one of the most important good values America is losing or has lost. Think about this. How many kids do you hear say they want to be a train engineer when they grow up? I don't know. I mean, if kids are paying any attention to the news, they'd know that people who work for these major rail companies can't take a single day off without being retaliated against, because the rail companies have laid off so many of their employees. They went from a workforce of 1 million employees to only 200,000. You know why they did that, Marjorie Greene? To maximize their profits. It had nothing to do with people refusing to work, but let me continue. If kids say it when they're 5 years old, our society's projected values change their minds by the time they're 18 years old. Our society teaches them to want to either work as little as possible or to chase dreams they think will make them rich, but are only attainable by very few." And then just one more from her Twitter thread here where she says, "There are also many young Americans who spend their days dazed from using marijuana all day and unfortunately confused." No, so
what in the world?
So the East Palestine train derailment is because people are smoking pot and they're lazy. When in reality, it has everything to do with these companies wanting to maximize profits by ensuring that they have the bare minimum workforce necessary to do the job. And there's deregulation that's a huge problem as well, including the transport of toxic chemicals through our rail system. And I'll give you the details in a moment, but I wanted you to jump in, Cenk.
Look, so she pointed out that this was a disaster and the government should do something, the representatives should do something about it like a day ago. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Rashida Tlaib, a Just Democrat, saying we should do something. Marjorie Taylor Greene, a theoretical populist on the right wing, saying we should do something. Imagine if they got together in real bipartisanship and challenged the corporate Republicans and corporate Democrats. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? And it would get a ton of attention and maybe we could get something fixed. Oh, come on, of course that wasn't gonna happen. So we went from a train derailment to a policy derailment. So she went from, hey, maybe we should do something about it. Well, what should we do? Well, you could fix the brakes. They don't have modern brakes. You could make sure they are not carrying, or they are taking safety precautions when they carry hazardous chemicals that could blow up, like that happened in Ohio. No, she went to the average American worker's a bum, lazy. It's not the corporation's fault, it's your fault.
Insane.
That's a populist? That's a populist. Oh, the world's most ironic populist. Okay, no, and look at what Anna said. They went from 1 million workers down to 200,000. You think it's because 800,000 people were lazy? No, they fired them, you moron.
Listen,
they fired them, you idiot. Okay, what a useful idiot you are for the corporate machines, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Right wing, please wake up. You're also getting killed out there. Wake up and wait till you hear Charlie Kirk and the other morons.
All right, so let's give you the details. So as we've mentioned 1 billion times, deregulation has a lot to do with it. Maximizing profits has a lot to do with it. The Railroad Workers United pinned this threat on rail industry cuts to inspection staff and the elimination of safety protocol.
Obviously.
The East Palestine train was hurried, the nonprofit said in a statement. And though a cause hasn't been fully determined, they believe that it was an issue with one of the axles. It appears the train was not properly inspected. Rail companies laid off more than 20,000 rail workers during a year period in 2018 to 2019, meaning before the pandemic, representing the biggest layoffs in rail since the Great Recession. And the nation's rail force has dipped below 200,000, the lowest ever, and down from 1 million at its peak. Finally, I want to read this quote because it's from a former Norfolk Southern freight engineer who says, "They have cut the hell out of the workforce, and there are big plans to cut it further. Just because the rail companies are profitable doesn't mean they're healthy. In fact, if they're highly profitable, there's a good chance they're not healthy, because in order to maximize those profits, they lay off workers that they obviously desperately need in order to ensure that the safety protocols are met."
Okay, guys, we're not saying that the trains shouldn't be profitable. We're saying they don't need to have the massive margins that they have now. You can use some of your gigantic profits on safety protocols, which, by the way, it's not you must do that. In a sane society, we would require them to do that. Otherwise, not only is the potential harm to you guys, the fish are dead in East Palestine, a lot of the pets are sick, people are coming down with rashes, etc. already. Of course it's gonna damage you guys, but not only does it damage your health, but now the government, i.e. your taxes, have to pay for their disaster. That's their cost, that's not our cost. Why do we have to pay for it? Right wing, why do you have to pay for it? Because there's corporate rule in America and they're crushing us. Please wake up. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, I really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.